After the tutorial that I posted on diatonic chords, I received a number of requests from people who were requesting me to explain chord construction and chord formulas. So that one is a very broad topic, so it cannot be covered in one tutorial. So what I'll do is I will just do an introduction today, and then I'll do them in segments. When I entered the music industry in 1988, I used to think that you could memorize that whole chord book. You know those chord books that a lot of guitarists used to have that had a lot of shapes. I used to think it was possible to memorize all those chords. But later on I discovered that there is no human being who has got such a sharp memory. But what you can memorize is the chord formulas. The reason being that chord formulas, they follow a certain pattern that is very easy to remember. We'll touch on that one later. But today, the first thing that we want to cover is the terms. The first term that I want us to cover is the word sharp. What it means is if I'm holding this note, if I'm requested to sharpen it, I go one step up. This same note, if I'm requested to flatten it, I go one step down. I know that the word flat, sometimes we use it wrongly in Zimbabwe. Flat, but flat. On the 11th of March 1997, Isaac gave me a lesson on chord construction and chord formulas, and gave me this book. It's called Progressive Jazz Guitar by Steve Sutton and Gary Turner. It was during the time Emma cassettes here, so the book had a cassette. So I went home and studied this book. I read this book in and out, sideways, upside down, and I learned a lot from this book. So most of the stuff that I'll be explaining in this series is coming from this book. So the first thing that I want us to mention is this topic that I always talk about, the major scale. There's no chord construction without the major scale. I'm sure you have heard such chord names like G minor 7, G7 sharp 9, G half diminished, F7 this, F7 that, and you wonder, where do they get those names? All those names are taken from the major scale. The root source of those words is the major scale. Today I'll be working in the key of G, starting on string number 4. So this is the scale. And again, you need to put numbers on the scale degrees, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it is from these numbers that we get the chord formulas. The major chord formula is 1, 3, 5. So what it means is we are starting on, so this is number 1, this is number 2, this is number 3. Take note of number 1 and number 3. This is 4 and this is 5. So if I'm to hold 1, 3, and 5, that's the major chord. That's how you get your major chord. So usually there's 1, 3, 5, and 1 that is a higher octave. So 1, 3, 5, 1. That's the formula for a major chord. The original word for minor chords was a chord with a lesser third or a chord with a minor third. Minor means flattening. So the formula for a minor chord is 1 flat 3 5. And it goes back to those terms that I talked about before. Here is our 1, 2. We are not using 2, but we are using 3. This is 4. We are not using 4, but we are using 5. So we are using 1, 3, and 5. So the note that we are focusing on right now is the 3rd degree, which is this one. So for it to be a minor chord, the formula is 1 flat 3 5. So what you do is you flatten the 3rd. Flattening means going down 1 semitone. So this note will move there. So instead of holding the chord like that, we now hold it like that. That's how you get the minor chord. The The formula for a 7th is 135 flat 7. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The formula is 135 flat 7. So this is the 7th. So we need to flatten it, means it has to move there. So what you need to do is, if you are holding the key of G, and then you add that, it becomes G7. Or instead of holding it like this, you can just pick the first, the third, and the flat 7. The formula is 1357. I want you to take note of the difference. The formula for the 7th is 135 flat 7. But for the major 7, the formula is 1357, which means the 7th is not flattened. So how do we get it? So our 1, 3, and 5 are these 3. Now we need to look for the 7th. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what you need to do is to hold your chord and make sure that the 7th is not obstructed. Like. So today we've covered the major chord formula, the minor chord formula, the 7th, and the major 7th. So we have covered 4. I think for today we can stop here. And if you want me to carry on, you can let me know. Because my chords are one this 13th flat chino. Thank you.
Monolio Studio, the harmony of quality and professionalism.